Helplessness isn't learned, it's our default setting. So if we believe that we don't know, we just throw our hands up. We're like, whatever, I don't know the things. I'm just dumb. We start telling stories. And the reality is, no, why should you know that yet?
Right.
There's no earthly reason you should know all the things.
What would happen if we just told the truth?
Welcome to Truth Works, where we dig into the nitty-gritty of leadership and work.
And what needs to change. I'm Jessica Neal.
And I'm Patty McCord.
Our journey together started in HR, but trust us, it's evolved into something wild, honest, and well, a bit rebellious.
So throw out the handbook. We're here to redefine rules to work for us, not against us.
Let's dive into another episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Truth Works. I'm Jessica Neal, your host, and Patty's still out, but she's going to come back, I promise, so don't worry. But exciting news. We have, I'm just excited about this conversation that I'm about to have because the energy I get from you is just so wonderful. But we have Dr. Rebecca Heiss here. She is I'm going to hopefully pronounce this correctly.
You got that.
She's a stress physiologist.
Nailed it.
Check
you
me
nailed it.
out. Check me out. And you're obviously an author. But I think what's really interesting about your work is that you help turn fear into fuel, right? Like you have studied this. You have obviously coached and helped not only individuals, but corporations think about this. And, fear is something that we all struggle with. And you're going to explain it better than I can because you've actually studied it, whereas I have not. I've just talked to smart people like you who have studied it. And so I feel like I kind of have. But, our brains kind of work against us, right? And they tell us stories and things that are not true. And I think it's because our brains needed that maybe when we were in the caveman years.
Jessica,
is that
you
right?
are nailing it. You're nailing it.
See?
Oh, you're nailing it. I love this.
Perfect. But I'm not going to spoil everything. But anyways, Rebecca, tell us who you are. Tell us about your work. I don't even know how you started doing this, but I'm glad you did. Tell us the whole story. We want to know everything.
Sure, Jessica. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being here, or having me here, rather. I'm so excited for this conversation. And you're so far nailing this. Stress physiologist. So what that means is I study the hormones that drive our behaviors, in particular when we're in stress and fear and overwhelm, which is like most of us most of the time, I think. So basically, I study human behavior and help people to really utilize that stress response the way that it's supposed to be used. Because I tell people, it is a feature, not a bug of our system.
Yes, I love that you say that. It's a feature. We just look at it as like a feature. We all have it. It's a feature, right? It's not a bug. And I don't know, you're going to talk about this, but I think and you talk about this in your books and things, but you're sort of told with fear, meditate, take, bubble bath. Get rid of it, shove it down deep inside you.
Swallow it down because that works well. We know these things work great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, there's been tons of research done on this. And the reality is, first of all, stress, it's not going away. So you can bubble bath and meditate and do all those things in self-care all day long, and you're still going to have stress in your life. So let's stop trying to focus on getting rid of it. And instead, I call it inviting the tiger in for tea. So let me give you a little context on this, because you nailed it when you started saying our stress response is built for, cave person days. It really is. It's built for 3 minutes of screaming terror, getting chased by a tiger, right? That's what our body is responding to constantly.
Right.
In the modern environment, you're not going to be killed and eaten in the next 3 minutes by 99.99999% of your stressors. So when we feel this response, what we have to recognize is, one, it's not a tiger, right? And then we can say, this isn't life and death. This is just energy. This is my body preparing me to perform, to rise to the occasion. And we can get curious then and say, okay, what do I need to do? What is the small step that I can do to utilize this energy in a way that serves me rather than paralyzes me? Right?
Well, how did you get started on this? How did this all happen?
super stressed out person, Jessica. I mean, that's how it started,
You don't seem stressed to me. You seem fine.
Thanks. I appreciate that. And I think it's because I really do utilize this work in my own life. I'm never going to tell anybody to do something I don't do myself. The short version of a much longer story is I've been studying stress for a long time. And unfortunately, my sister's wife had been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And it's one of those moments that just pulls the rug out, right? And we all have these moments in our lives. It may not be that exact thing, but it's going to be a moment that just stops you dead in your tracks. And for me, it was the moment that I went, every decision I've been making in my life, I've made out of fear. And I don't want my legacy, my life, my diagnosis, when I have that diagnosis, I don't want to look back and go, I wish, and why didn't I? And I should have. And so that month, I quit my job, sold my house, and divorced my husband.
My God. What?
Yeah, full stop. So I'm not saying that's the solution, y'all. I'm not saying go out and do those things.
So,
Let's be clear. But it was a moment of reckoning for me and going, I need to be utilizing a lot of the work that I do. I need to be applying it to my own life. And that's really how this all got started.
Wow. So, okay. So what happens when you do all that? That's a lot of, well, first of all, that's a lot of working through fear right there, doing all those things at once. But what happened right after that? What happened?
Such a good question. It's such a good question. Here's what I think happens. What I think happens when we realize that these aren't tigers, right? Is we realize it's not the tiger that's going to kill us. It's not the stress that's going to kill us. It's the cage that we build to protect ourselves from those tigers, from those stressors. And what we're actually doing is we're preventing ourselves from living our most meaningful, authentic, and purposeful lives. Because our research, right, has found that the number one to a meaningful, purposeful life, it's stress. And so we're actually when we're fighting against stress, we're fighting against the thing that's bringing all of this purpose to our lives. So my hope is that people can start to realize that when they're doing their most meaningful, purposeful work, how they're feeling that stress, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right. Because stress can be good. It can be a motivator. It can be, I think a lot of my stress comes from work, because I cared about it so much. I loved doing it so much.
Yeah.
I wanted to be great for my family. I wanted to be great for the people at work. And so I think that there was just a lot of pressure. I'm just trying to think back. There's a lot of pressure that I put on myself. There wasn't necessarily pressure people were putting on me. Of course, there were high expectations,
That's
right?
That's right.
But, I think back to I used to have to get up and do these talks in front of the company, thousands of people, and it was super stressful. And I would get so nervous. I would just practice so much so that, it would just roll off my tongue because I literally would have an out of body experience.
Blank out.
Yeah. I was so, I'd be up there and the lights on me and oh God, this is horrible. But anyway, I got better at it as the more I did it, and maybe a little less fearful, but I always had that, I felt like I was going to puke every single time.
Jessica, I'm so glad that you're saying this because, listen, I'm a professional speaker, right? This is what I do for a living, is I stand in front of people and do the thing that is often people's biggest fear, which is speaking in public. And it does get easier, to your point, because you train your brain that it's not a tiger, right? These people aren't going to kill and eat you. But the fear, the anxiety, it's still there. Yeah. And I really want people to recognize this. That is not a bad thing. It's a barometer for how much you care. The day I don't feel stressed or anxious when I'm taking the stage is the day I need to quit because I don't care.
Really? You think? Wow.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I kept
no longer
thinking
care.
that was the goal, to get to get so good that I wasn't stressed when I go on stage.
So I'll reframe this a little bit. When we feel stress and anxiety, what we're actually feeling is the results of all of these hormones being released in our body. Okay. And we have almost the identical response in our body to excitement and other high arousal emotions. So excitement, anger, being amped up, being highly caffeinated, like very, very similar responses. The only difference between excitement and anxiety or stress is how our brain is interpreting what our body is doing. Okay. And so when we are saying to ourselves, I'm scared, I have to calm down, I just need to take some deep breaths. First of all, that's an evil thing to do because you can't calm down. You can't physiologically just force yourself to calm down, right?
Yeah. Like I would try that and it literally didn't work. The only thing that worked was I practiced enough to like fool everybody.
Right. And so that's exactly it, Jessica. What you did, meaningful, like whether you were trying to do this or not, what you did was practice what I call the transfer, where you're transferring all of that energy that stress is delivering to you into a brand of excitement. And by practicing,
I don't know if I was excited.
I think you were, and here's why. Like, I think you convinced your brain you were, or at least that, like, because I've practiced, I can blank out, I can get up there, I can blank out. And my guess is your body took over. And when we're scared, right, you'll see us hunch and we'll like pull into ourselves and we have this very like tight, fearful positioning. And when we're excited, our body opens up and we smile, even if we are faking it, right?
I so was faking it.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is the magic of the brain body connection. When we fake it, when we throw our shoulders back, we put a smile on. Yeah. See, people think they smile because they're happy, but they're actually happy because they're smiling.
Okay.
Full stop, right? Full stop.
Yeah.
So like when you're positioning yourself and you're acting as if I am excited, here we go. You may not be excited, but your brain reads that as, oh, my body's excited. This is okay. And so we're going on stage and you're feeling safe. Yeah.
Okay.
It's wild.
That's wild. Yeah, it is wild. Okay. So help me understand, like, I don't know, because it kind of seems like all the advice that you get around this, again, is to just, like make it go away. And the more you practice, the better you'll get at it and the fear. But you're saying that the fear never goes away. Yeah. And that it shouldn't go away. Because I feel like that's the opposite of what we're told.
Yeah. I'll give 3 points here. Okay. The first point is the research we did last year, which basically the more you try to get rid of stress, the more stressed out you become. Because you feel like a failure. You're like, I'm trying to do all these things and it's not going away and it must be me. And now we get in our head and we're like, oh my gosh, this is worse. All right. So a 2013 study looked at 90 different workplace interventions, right? Okay. 90 of them. We're talking meditation, massage, all of this. Like, and trust me, I'm really
And this was all in the workplace.
Yeah, all in the workplace. All right. Of those 90 workplace interventions, do you know how many actually worked to mitigate stress?
0?
1. And it wasn't massage, and I was deeply disappointed.
What was it?
Service to others.
I can see that working.
Right?
Yeah.
And immediately I'm like, well, okay, that makes a lot of sense because when we look at the hormones of the stress response, everybody's familiar with cortisol, right? Your major stress hormone. The second major stress hormone is oxytocin. Yeah. Which is a togetherness hormone, right? It's a going through discomfort together. So when we reach out and we serve others in the discomfort,
you're getting
we actually,
that.
We actually make it better for ourselves. Yep. Isn't that wild?
I get that. I guess that's why, because they talk about like dogs giving that to you as well. Like maybe that's why dogs are helpful with the stress. I don't know.
You know what? I'm
making stuff up. I'm not you, but
Jessica, listen,
I'm pretending to be.
Look, I think you are. I think you just hit on a really good point. I'm sitting here going, wait a second. You're right. I'm taking care of my dog. And therefore, I feel better as a result. Mm-hmm. Right? Like that's
oxytocin.
That, yeah.
Yeah. I also go, and I don't know if you have kids, but I have a almost 6-year-old. He's going to be 6 in like 9 days. And I will stare in his eyes. And it makes me less stressed.
Oh my gosh. You just gave me all the feels.
I don't know. Is that a thing? Like getting
Probably.
Because I get a massive amount of like oxytocin from him.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're grounding yourself in the meaning and purpose, right? Like, listen, one of the most stressful things that anybody ever does is have children. Like it's horrifically stressful and you're choosing that, right? Yeah. That's wild to me. Like people choose this. This is a life decision people make.
It is stressful.
On repeat. We do it
Yeah.
once and we're like, oh, this is horrible. Let's do it
Yeah.
5 more times.
Yeah.
And the reason for that, again, is this is a barometer for how much we care, how much meaning and purpose is brought into our lives. And so I think as you're looking at him, as you're like looking, you're going, right, this is worth it. This is meaningful.
Right.
Yep. It's beautiful. I love that.
Interesting. Okay. So is there a difference though for this stress hormone thing for men versus women? Is there a difference? Because I feel like I'm definitely more stressed than my counterpart, my husband.
You are.
Okay.
You are. So yes, women do have more stress, experience more stress. And again, when I say have more stress, this can be interpreted in 1,000 different ways. Like, are we measuring the hormones themselves? Are we measuring how they feel? Are we measuring the actual stressors that they're tackling? And on all of those levels, the answer is yes, women have more of all of those things. They have more stressors in their lives. They're caring for more people, and we're better at handling it.
Yeah, that's true too.
Yeah.
I just think
and
about
a lot of that
traveling with my husband. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
He's so stressed. I'm like, we're just going through TSA. You know what it's going to be every time. You know, like, I don't know. But he's so wound up.
Yeah. And a lot of that is, it is partly practice. Like, women have to juggle more from a very early age. Part of that is also we are much more, especially in this country, it's much more acceptable for us to have friends and people that we lean on. And we build community. And as a result, because community is seen as this feminine trait, we have a lot more support systems to lean into. And that's huge when it comes to mitigating stress. Service to others, right? It's like the ability to ask for and receive help. That's what oxytocin does. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. And I think one of your mantras, if you will, is fear less.
Yeah.
Right? Like
yes.
you've sort of reframed the word, like fearless to fear less.
Yeah, don't be fearless. That's dumb.
Tell me about that, because everybody tells you to be brave, be fearless.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe I need to, like, sometimes I tell my son, like, you need to be brave here. Like, you know, he'll want me to go. He wanted to play with these kids on the beach this weekend. He's like, you go ask them. I'm like, no, you go ask them. You know, like if you want to play with them, like, mommy's right here, but you can do it. Like, you know how to go you know, but I did. I said, you can be brave and do it. But maybe I shouldn't say brave. I don't know.
I love that. I think that's perfect. I think you're handling it. You're giving him actually the confidence to do that and to take those small risks. And that's what I mean when I say fear less.
Right.
It's not that we shouldn't have fear. Fear is, there's a time and a place, and don't jump into the cage of a hungry tiger. That's dumb.
Right.
That's being fearless, but like, that's dumb.
But it's also dumb. Yes.
And so, like, fearing stress less or fearing anything a little bit less just means being a little more cognitive about it. Like, what is it that I'm actually afraid of? Am I afraid? Oh, I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of that little boy rejecting me. Is that a life and death situation? No. So let me set this small trajectory of bravery. So I think what you're actually doing there is you're empowering your son to take these small, brave trajectories. And this is something that's really important because in the workplace too, we often look at outcomes as the goal, right? There's one goal. I have to be accepted. Well, you don't control that. You don't control that outcome. What you control is your small trajectory towards something. And what you're asking him to do is take ownership of this small trajectory towards the outcome that he wants. There's no guarantee on it, but it allows him to build some confidence and fear a little bit less in taking that small step forward.
Why do we want to be accepted so much? Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know the answer?
Yeah, I do know the answer. So the reason for this is we evolved in these tribes of about 150 individuals, right? And you cannot survive out there in our ancestral environment alone. You can't make it. And so fitting into the tribe, making sure you understand your place in the tribe was crucial. It was literally a life and death situation, which is why, you know, feeling this social rejection, it sets off the exact same pathway in the brain as like physical pain. If you have a social rejection, it's like getting your arm broken. It's terrible. It's terrible.
Right. Yeah. Well, I wonder how you think, like, all these social sites and things play into this like fear and acceptance thing. Because I feel like, there's a lot of positivity that can come from it, but there's also like, a lot of negativity, and
Comparison.
I have to do stuff for the podcast and like post on like LinkedIn and like whatever. And there'll be occasionally where somebody like, oh, that was terrible. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Why? Why does this person matter so much to me?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't even know them.
Right, right. But it doesn't matter because 200,000 years ago, you would have known that person and that would have been a direct like hit to your reputation. So yeah, these social sites I think are particularly terrifying for many reasons. Like one, we're only seeing people's highlight reels, right? So this isn't reality, but especially, I really worry about young men, young women too, but young men looking at what's available to them. And, for men, the way we value masculinity in our society is what they can obtain, like their status. Mm-hmm. And when you're online and you're only seeing, I made this $1 billion this month and this $1 billion, and you are just feeling like this horrible failure all the time. And for women, same thing, like evolutionarily, we're valued for our beauty.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing all these filters, and how will I ever keep up? I really, truly believe that if we all had the option to like secretly press a button that said, I never want to have to do social media again. If everybody else agrees to never have to do social media again, I think we'd all press that button. It'd be like, oh, thank you for that release.
Yeah.
But because you're doing it, I have to do it too. And she has to do it too. And like
everybody,
it's wild.
Okay. Well, listen, I'm peppering with questions, but tell us about the book. It just came out. Like, how's it going?
Yeah, thanks. So the book is called Springboard, Transform Stress to Work for You. And it really is what I call my fearless formula, which walks you through kind of the training of a high performer. I talk a lot about how Olympic athletes aren't breaking world records during practice. They're breaking them at the peak of stress and fear and anxiety, and that we all have that capability if we shift our mindset around what stress means to us. So it walks us through the tiger stage, which is, it's not a tiger, then the transfer stage of how we utilize this energy as excitement or a productive anger. And then the trajectory phase, which is where, now that I have my butterflies in alignment, like where do I point them so that it's serving me and the people around me? So that's the book. And it's going great. It is a burden of love to put this into the world. And
it's so incredibly hard. I haven't written a book, but I know many that have, and I know how hard it is. So congratulations on that. And, Thank you. I know it just launched, but I'm sure it will be a huge success because again, like what you're talking about, every single person in the world struggles with this. There's not one person that doesn't. I mean, they may say they don't, but they do.
They're liars.
Everybody has fear. Even the highest of the high, the wealthiest of the wealthy.
Especially the highest of the high and the wealthiest of the wealthiest and the prettiest of the prettiest. You see the most insecurities in those positions. So, yeah.
Why is that?
I think in part because they have this status and they're terrified of
They don't want to lose it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Gosh, so everything you're saying makes sense. Okay.
Well, thanks.
Yeah. So, okay. I'm going to ask like, maybe a more personal question, but
bring it on.
You've done all this research. You practice being fearless, not fearless. And is there still for you like a fear that you haven't been able to overcome yourself? Like, is there something that is just for you, like not fixable on this front? I don't know.
I mean, yes and no. I think I do have a fear that eats at me. And it's also the fear that I think pushes me and allows me to do what I do every single day. And the fear that sits in the back of my head that I wake up to every morning is, are you living your most wild and precious life? Right? Are you living? I think so. And honestly, it's a day-to-day thing, Jessica, right? Yeah. It is can I be as authentic and honest and open and brazen in who I am and what I can bring to the world every single day? And there are moments, of course, that you fail, right? And then you learn and you're like, okay, cool. This is what I did. Here's what I learned. Here's how I grow. I think that question, though, eats at me. That fear eats at me.
Well, I think that's a healthy fear to have, right? Because it's around living your best authentic life. So most people, I think, to going back to what we were talking about before, it's more you're worried more about status, or
Sure.
that may not bring you happiness. What you're fearful of is not being happy in some sense.
Not even happy, I think, because the interesting thing that the data will say is parents, this is a great example, since we're talking about parenting, parents aren't happier. Sorry, you're not
You're
happier.
probably
In
less
fact,
happier.
you're a little less happy. But the trade-off there is you have more meaning and purpose.
Ah,
Right? Stress doesn't bring you happiness. It brings you meaning. It brings you purpose. It brings you this like fulfillment. And so the question is, do you want to be happy or you want to be fulfilled? And unfortunately, it's a little bit of a
fulfilled's a better word. Yes.
seesaw there, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you
yeah,
can have
yeah.
this or that. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I hope, and I do find a lot of joy in the work that I'm doing, but it is challenging, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah. And when you made that big shift and you
yeah,
quit your job, got a divorce and all that,
it was ugly.
I'm sure. And I'm
Yeah.
sure not obvious in the moment that all those decisions were the right decisions.
Absolutely.
Right? But do you feel like now you have less stress in your life because you were willing to make those calls?
No, I don't feel like I have less stress. I don't feel like I have less stress. I feel like I have more purpose. And I think the stressors will never go away. Right?
Yeah, so that's
The
the wrong
stressors
way
are
to think
different.
about it.
Right. The
Yeah,
stressors are different. You know, I think I would be much more stressed about the cage that I'd set for myself that I was sitting in if I hadn't made those decisions.
Right.
And now I've kind of obliterated the cage of safety, and I'm going, oh gosh, this is really scary out here. How do I keep this course and stay showing up every day in this scary trajectory forward?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
But I love your point. Sorry, I'm gonna continue.
Yeah, no, go.
You said something really, really important, which is like, I'm sure you didn't know at the time. And it's so important. No, I did not. I was terrified. I was scared. I was stressed out of my gourd. And I often will ask people to think about the most meaningful or important work that they've ever done or decision that they've made. And when they reflect back on it and they go back to when they were in the middle of that period of time, their stress levels are through the roof. Always. Right? And so that is a really important thing to recognize when you're in it. When you're in it and you're like, how am I doing? Stay the course.
Right.
Stay in it.
Well, it's just like your point about the Olympian athletes that, they're during practice, they're working on probably like a skill. Like, I want to get better at this one thing, right? Because it's going to make me faster. But in the race, like, they're racing, right? And they're breaking the record. That's not how they're operating all the time. And I think that there's probably a lot of stress and fear in that situation because of that. I'm sure there's some rejection that they may feel when they don't win, right? And they want to win at all costs. It's just like a competitive vein that athletes have. And we all have it, I guess, but some are stronger than others. Is that what kind of fuel, like when you're talking about like the fear can be fuel, is that what you mean?
Yeah, it is really a mindset shift. So I want to back up to probably one of the most important research studies, because I answer your question in a roundabout way. In 2013, again, a lot of stress research in 2013. So this was an 8-year study looking at 30,000 Americans. And over the course of the 8 years, they looked at people who had very high levels of stress and asked the question, do you believe stress is bad for your health? And I think most of us are like, yeah, duh, right? Like, that's what we see.
Yeah, take it away.
Here's the bad news, folks. Exactly. Here's the bad news, all right? For all of us that were like, yeah, I'm stressed out and I know it's bad for me. Those people died at incredibly high mortality rates. So 43% higher than the controls. The good news is people that had that same very high level of stress, who simply believed that stress wasn't good for them or bad for them, that it was just energy, they died at the lowest mortality rates, lower than the people who had very little stress in their life. So what that means is that people are dying prematurely, not because of the amount of stress, but because of the belief that stress is bad for them. And that's incredibly powerful. So like bringing it full circle around to that Olympic athlete, like when we're feeling that stress, rather than going, oh, this is really bad for me, I have to get rid of it, I got to fight against it. If we can embrace it and invite the tiger in for tea and say, oh, hi there, I see you. This feels like my body is really responding to something. What do I need to do in this moment to move through this stress so that I can get on the other side of it? Yeah. And recognize that like, this really is my body preparing me to meet the moment.
That's a great point. Can we, and I'm going to try to do that now when I'm stressed out, which is
good.
Often.
Feel it.
I'm going to invite the tiger for some tea, and we're going to sit down together and talk about the stress that the tiger's causing me. And then I'm going to work through it. But what if what if I'm at work?
Yes.
Right? There's so many things going on at work. You have your boss, you have your coworkers, you have deadlines, you have money that may be at stake.
Yeah.
You want to get a bonus, you want to get a raise. Mm-hmm. What's the, and not fix isn't the right word. I'm guessing you have to do the same thing with like the mindset and inviting the tiger, but there's so much at stake at work.
There is. Yeah. So this is to your point. Yeah, we're going to invite the tiger in. We're going to feel it. We're going to go, okay, this isn't life and death, but there are high stakes. There are things that I want to achieve. And in recognizing that, like, here's the outcome I want. One of the hardest things for humans is realizing how little control they have over the outcome. And controlling the trajectories they set towards that outcome is where we gain our agency back, where we feel like we actually have any control. So I say 3 minutes of screaming terror, right? So first and foremost, like allow yourself to catastrophize, because that's normal for humans. We're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to screw this presentation up and then everybody's going to hate me and then my boss is going to reject me and I'm going to lose my job and lose my family and I'm going to die in a gutter somewhere. Great. Go there, right? Like, please
We're so horrible to ourselves.
We really are. This is another point that like, we're the only species on the planet that creates stress with our own thoughts.
Right.
You know? Like lions fail hunting 80% of the time. They fail. They suck at it.
And they don't care.
But they're not like, oh my gosh, I'm a terrible lion. I can't No, they take naps.
Yeah, they're like in the sun, like, I'll get it next time.
Exactly. They don't even like, it's fine. So yeah, I mean, first feel it, go through it. Don't deny yourself that this is important and meaningful. And then the piece that I think is most important is to be curious, because curiosity and fear can't coexist. There's literally no brain mechanism that allows for that, right? Because for 200,000 plus years, nobody ever had a tiger charging them and went like, wonder how fast it's coming, wonder how many stripes it's got, right? Like it didn't happen. And so when we get curious, we kick ourselves out of that fear and allow ourselves to begin thinking more strategically about what can I control? What is the smallest step that I can take right now in the fear along this trajectory of bravery?
Okay. So I don't so much anymore, but I used to have panic attacks, like severe ones.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I wouldn't even be, I didn't think I was stressed out in the moment. Like sometimes I'd be asleep and I'd wake up, and like a panic attack. And it was, mostly my guess is about work. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what about that type of level of stress?
Yeah. A lot of that is unresolved anxiety, right? And the reason we have so much of this built up energy that just finds us all at once is because we're constantly pushing it aside or pushing it away or going, not now, I can't deal with this. I've got 17 other things going on. And so one of the solutions that I offer people is at night, I keep what I call a disaster diary. And before I go to sleep, I write down like all of the things that I'm stressed out about, all the things that are going to go terribly wrong. And like, here's how they're going to go wrong. This is why I'm a terrible human being and I'm lousy. And then I sit with it. I set a 3-minute timer. I do not let this go on for more than 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like
the time is important. You don't do it for 2 hours straight.
My gosh. 2 hours of just beating yourself up is probably not recommended.
Yeah.
Right? When the timer dings, I then play advocate. And like I pretend I'm a lawyer. And I say, okay, what of these things is a story that I'm telling? And one of these things is actual fact. Like, where do I actually have factual information that this is true and this is going to be the outcome? And when you do that, it's pretty jarring when you realize how much.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
How much is story that we create.
Yeah. And then in the like every so often scenario that one is true, then you can address it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And honestly, one of the best things is looking back through that diary, things that I'm like so stressed out over. I don't even remember a week later or a month later or heaven forbid a year later. Yeah.
And so when you have these like panic attacks or built up anxiety, it's, to your point, it's just unresolved stuff. You haven't addressed it, or like in your research, is like our bodies reacting to, I don't know. What?
Yeah, to dysregulation. I mean, your nervous system is so dysregulated at that stage. It's going, I see something that you are not paying attention to me about, and I need you to pay attention right now. Like, I am going to force you to pay attention to this thing. And so, again, my ask of anybody who's experienced this, first of all, I'm not a medical doctor. Please talk to your medical doctor, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But also talk to people.
Yeah.
Right? Allow yourself
I
to
think
feel
I didn't
the things.
at that point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because my stress is your stress and your stress is my stress. We may not be experiencing the exact same thing at the exact same moment, but it's almost always relatable. And the more we kind of like pull back the curtain a little bit, we're like, okay, here's what's going on. If you knew me, you'd know I'm a stress physiologist. I've got 2 dogs, the basics. But what we don't say is, if you really knew me, you'd know, I'm really scared for my dad right now, who is getting older, and I don't know how I'm going to take care of him. And I'm on the road all the time. And what does this look? That slight shift immediately, I guarantee 10 of your listeners are like, oh gosh, I have that too.
Yeah.
Like, oh, wow, it's just nice to know other people are experiencing that.
Yeah. I was just thinking about like why in those times I didn't maybe share. I think because there was maybe a pressure I was putting on myself to have it all figured out. Like if I let somebody know that I was stressed out or something, or I didn't know that the answer, like then it would be prove everybody right that I didn't deserve to be there or something. I don't know. I'm just
massive imposter thoughts. Yeah, massive imposter thoughts. This is such a human thing. Like little kids, we are all learning to ride bicycles. We're all learning all the same stuff at the same time. So we're looking around and we're like, oh, Jess is falling off her bike. This is great. I'm falling off my bike too. And we hit this certain age, which we've all hit. And we look around and we're like, oh my gosh, they know all the things. And I don't know how to do taxes still. I'm 42. When is somebody going to figure this out for me? Like, when do I become the adult that everybody assumes I am? And the reality is nobody knows the things. Like, we're all imposters in our own way. And I think there is such relief in that when we show up and we go, I know a lot about stress, but man, I learn stuff every single day. Mm-hmm. And when we stay open to that beginner's mindset of going, I don't know, what do you think? It actually has the opposite effect, where people trust us more and believe we actually know more when we say, I don't know, here's what's going on. I'm having a little breakdown.
True,
I need help.
Yeah, but then that builds trust. But I think, I don't know, we've been, to your point, like we've been taught not to admit those things. Mm-hmm. When those things actually, when you are honest about them, they build trust. They allow you to move through the stress more easily, right? Mm-hmm. And then you're moving through it with someone. You're not, I don't know. Maybe it's because as you were talking, like maybe it's like you feel shame or something, like you should know.
Absolutely. Shame drives so much of this. Shame drives so much stress. And we also fall into the space of learned helplessness, which is it's a misnomer, right? Helplessness isn't learned. It's our default setting. So if we believe that we just throw our hands up. We're like, whatever, I don't know the things. I'm just dumb. We start telling stories. And the reality is, no, why should you know that yet?
Right.
There's no earthly reason you should know all the things. We just, as adults, have to keep trying, have to keep taking those small steps bravely into the unknown. I mean, look, we're living in a world of AI right now. Who's done AI before?
I know.
And suddenly, right, like, we're all going, I don't know, I feel behind. What am I doing? I suck at this. No, none of us have learned it. We're figuring it out together.
We're all learning.
Yeah.
Which is a really good point. Maybe to bring it back to work a little bit, if I'm a leader and I know this, I've read your book, I'm practicing inviting the tiger in, what should I be doing for my team knowing this?
Such a good question. Thank you. Two things. One, practice it yourself and talk to your team about this. So I often will ask people to do sort of a stress overview in their office. How often are you hearing stress being used as a negative word? Like, I'm so stressed about this. Okay, how do we transform that? Like, let's audit all of the language that we're using around stress. And then the bigger piece here is acting as if you are in this adventure with them, because humans are incredibly emotionally contagious, right? One of my favorite demos to do is to take two violins that are tuned to one another and put them in opposite corners of the room. Because when you pluck the string on one violin, the other one will play the same note. And that is perfect.
Really?
Yeah, it's a perfect demonstration of human behavior.
Right.
Like, you walk into the room and people are clapping and they're dancing. You can't help but have a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Right? You walk into a board meeting or as a leader and people are frowning and their arms are crossed and they're like, we're really scared about this thing coming up. And your heart is going to start to palpitate.
Yeah.
And you're going, oh my gosh, this is... So in that moment, acting as if, right? Throw your shoulders back, put a smile and say, what adventure can we have in this? Right?
Yeah, I love that.
It's either going to be an adventure or an ordeal. So,
but I think
let's have
that
an
there's
adventure.
an important thing for leaders to listen to here is that, you know, if you are stressed, outwardly stressed,
Yes.
and maybe there's good reason to be, I'm not saying that there's not, but that is going to impact your team as well. Right. So
Massively.
if they walk into the team meeting and you're like, this is so horrible. Well, guess what?
They're going to feel it.
They're going to feel it. And so like maybe even if you feel that way, it's not to, you know, not talk about it, but to your point, shift the language of like,
That's
hey,
right.
guys, I'm really stressed out about this. I can only imagine you're stressed out about it, but like, let's like work through it.
What a tremendous challenge we get to go through together.
Right.
Like, this is so exciting.
Yeah.
How are we going to move like towards this new hill that we're climbing? I mean, that is very different than coming in and going, all right, this is really scary. Here are the goals that we have to reach and we got to do this by the end of the year. And I don't know how we're going to get there. Like, I said the exact same thing, right?
Right.
It is a completely different tone. And people, I mean, look, watch a scary movie with someone. It's 10,000 times more scary when they're screaming and shaking.
Well, you know what I hate about scary movies is one, I don't really like them, but my husband
Me either.
likes them. My husband likes them. I don't know why, but he'll beg me to watch one with him and then fall asleep on the couch and I'm sitting there.
Just like terrified.
Yeah. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You know,
No. Unacceptable, hubby.
Unacceptable. So I've learned now just to turn it off. Like when he
There
falls
you go.
asleep, I'm like,
There you go.
and he really falls asleep within the first 15 to 20 minutes. So like,
That's funny.
It's perfect.
Yeah. So like as a leader, I mean, really think about what strings you're plucking for your team.
I love
And
that.
what strings you're allowing to be plucked on you, because people are really looking to you to say, what is the feeling we should have in this moment?
Yeah. I mean, you set the tone.
That's right.
You know,
Literally.
you literally set the tone. Okay, so we are running out of time. So, couple things before we go. I know, isn't it terrible? Because I could talk to you
this
all
is
day.
fun.
So, I don't think I told you up front, but we do what we call a career confession, which our listeners send in work questions and ask us for advice, and then we give it
Love
to
it.
them. But before we get into the career confession, I always ask our guest to give their best advice, like a nugget of something to the listeners. And I know you've already given tons of advice in this podcast, but what's the one thing you want to leave our listeners thinking about?
I want you to think about the power that stress gives you and recognize that it can be used as a competitive advantage, because it truly is energy. It's not good. It's not bad. It's energy to be used for you. So that's really the big takeaway I want people to
I got goosebumps when you said that. That was great.
Good.
And I do think it's like, and I'm gonna think about this because I do often think about it as bad. Like, this is bad. Like, I'm stressed. It's bad. It's terrible. I need to get rid of it. But I think I'm going to really try to think about it as energy not good or bad, and then try to like really discern like what's real, what's not, what's my brain telling me.
Huge.
You know,
what's that story?
like,
Yep.
yeah, like I'll have the tea with the tiger, whatever.
That's
And I'm going to work through it because I think again, like you can use this as fuel. And I think about the times when I look back on my career and things were the hardest. It was super stressful, like super stressful, but it was the most fun I've ever had. You know, I mean, and we did shit that nobody else was doing. We like, you know, I don't know.
You're breaking through. You're breaking through.
We disrupted all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think that is great advice. So thank you for that. And thank you for helping me because I'm gonna use some of this stuff after the show immediately.
I'm excited for it. Please report back. I want to hear all about it.
Okay, I'm going to. Okay, here's our career confession. So I'll set it up with a little context and then they ask the question. So I know I'm burning out, but slowing down feels dangerous. Like everything will fall apart if I do. My body's exhausted, but my mind won't stop racing. I can feel the stress building, yet part of me needs it to feel in control. This is great for you. Question. How do I let myself rest without feeling guilty or afraid?
That's so good. Okay. First of all, what you're describing is being tired but wired, which is a huge symptom of burnout because you are not allowing your body to connect to the purpose behind your work. Now, burnout exists because we're running, and we're forgetting why we're running. So I want you to pause and connect why you're doing the things to some deeper purpose. That's step one. Step two is how can you really truly rest? You are a high achiever, my friend. I see you with the control. You sound like me. So here's what I want you to do.
me.
Yeah. I want you to set a goal. And the goal is to do nothing.
Yeah.
And then I need you to accomplish that goal. Now, here's what's going to happen. You're going to spend the first hour of that day freaking out because your brain's going, I'm doing nothing. And every time you hear that, I need you to go, good, you're accomplishing the goal. Good, you're accomplishing the goal. And this will slowly get easier. But it is going
just thinking about
it's going to suck, right?
Yeah.
It's stressful. It's stressful.
Just thinking about that is giving me anxiety.
I know.
I can literally not do nothing.
So this is really important because I think what's going to happen is you're going to go, oh, actually, I don't need to slow down. I don't need nothing. When you achieve that goal and you're like, that was horrible and I don't feel better. What's going to happen is you're going to double down onto all of the work that you're doing that brings meaning and purpose. And when you have that connection, there isn't, I'm not going to say there's not a need for rest. There's always a need for rest. But rest comes easier, right? Yeah. Rest comes easier because you're like, I did all of this. It feels good. It's like mowing the grass. You're like, ooh, I see
got that done.
This is good. Yeah. And you can relax into that a little bit. So I need you to try the full stop thing and go, oh gosh, this sucks. Maybe it'll work for you. My guess is it won't.
I don't know if I can do that, but I think this person should.
Yeah. Give it a shot. Give it a shot.
And hey, listener, let me know how it goes because
I need this report too. It's going to be horrible. Enjoy.
Yes. But I think, I think that is great advice. I think just like, as we were talking about earlier, this person being honest about that fear is also good. Right. And like saying it out loud, like that's a big step in like addressing and working through the stress.
Let me tell you right now, you just hit about 90% of your listenership with that question. I think we're all feeling it. We're all feeling it. So thank you.
Yeah. Yes. And thank you. Oh my gosh, Brooke, thank you so much. This
has been so much fun. Thank you. This has been a delight.
Well, I hope we are lifelong friends forever. Will you be?
Yes, okay. Please.
I'm going to have a massive fear of rejection. Do you say no?
First of all, I almost want to say no so you realize that I'm not a tiger who's going to kill you, but I'm not going to because
okay, perfect.
This was super fun. Yeah,
yes,
thank you.
So much fun. You are such a talent and wealth of information, and I know the listeners are going to love this one. So thank you so much.
It's truly been my honor.
Yay!
Thanks for listening to TruthWorks.